Welcome back, everybody, to another C Squared podcast episode. Fabi, back to the States. It's been a long trip to Europe, but we're finally back stateside. How are you feeling? Where should we start?
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
So many things going on in the world.
It's
Not only in the world, chess world, yeah?
in the world we expect. Purely in the chess world, I just meant there's a lot of tournaments going on. In the world, of course, there's a lot more than just tournaments going on. That's also true. But yeah, there's a lot going on in the chess world. So last time we spoke was before the Zagreb event. Well, we were there and we spoke before the round started. And since then, like that finished, there's a tournament in Biel going on. The Champions Chess Tour event is going on. I was playing that as well. And
The juniors and
some other events,
seniors
I'm sure.
are happening, and I'm doing
Yeah, the
commentary on
juniors
that
and
one.
seniors is going on.
It doesn't seem like
Turkish League is going on.
Turkish League is going on, and there's a lot of things happening
Lot
in
of
that one.
events.
Okay, let's start with the Grand Chess Tour in Croatia. Obviously, we recorded the podcast before the tournament started, as you just pointed out. It went well. It actually went really well for you. You got the first place. You actually matched the GCT record. So that was a cool thing to do as well. Didn't manage to break it, but still, I would say quite a successful event. How are you feeling? Any highlights that you would like to share from that one?
Yeah, I mean the whole tournament was very good for me, of course. Yeah, the record which was set by Magnus in 2019, 27 points across the Rapid and Blitz portions, and it hasn't been matched. Magnus got close to it again. I think he got like 26 and a half, 26. So no surprise that Magnus has been the one who has like the highest scores in the Grand Chess Tour overall. Although have been some players who have been relatively close. Like
I think Wesley got
uh,
very close in Paris.
I'm not sure about that. I know like Ali Reza in St. Louis got I think 25 and a half.
Alireza also, yes.
Wesley in Paris, he did do great. I think that was 2021. But I'm not sure if it was like 24 and a half or 25, but it was a bit below like the best scores. I think Hikaru also has one posted up one very good score, maybe around 25 as well. And of course, there's Magnus among all the scores. And but his best result was 27. And so for many years, for 5 years, it didn't get touched. And after the rapid portion, I realized that I actually have like a pretty reasonable shot at it. I mean, I got
Very good shot at it.
plus
Yeah.
the rapid, yeah. So it's after the rapid, I was thinking, okay. I mean, I'm not going to think about it yet, but I think I told Grigori this. I was like, I mean, first let's try to get the tournament victory kind of nailed down. It's not going to be a guarantee, of course, but I thought like I should have 80%, 85% at least at that point
Well, I think
to win,
you
and
actually
then
went into the last round, into the last day, sorry. I think you went in 4.5 points ahead of the field, I think,
yeah. No, before the
which
last day,
was
I was
huge.
sure. There's no way I messed this up. But before the Blitz, I mean, 2 days of Blitz, 18 games,
What was
things
it?
can happen.
3 points, right?
I think it was more than three. I
3 or
actually think didn't
3.5.
my lead diminish? Wasn't it like
No, for sure not. For sure
four
not.
or
For sure not. No,
okay?
no. It definitely increased. I think from 3 or maybe 3.5 to 4.5, which is obviously, I mean, 3.5 is by itself a huge lead, but with 18 games,
Yeah,
anything can happen, yeah? But 4.5 with 9
and also
games,
I thought like my thinking was that the most dangerous guy in Blitz is probably Ali Reza,
yes.
the guy who can like really win a ton of games, and he was even farther behind after Rapid than other people.
Yes.
So I felt pretty confident. Then before the last day, I wasn't thinking about winning at all. I already thought like, okay, I mean, 50% is a bad result to. I thought to score in Blitz, and if I scored 50% in the last day, then someone would have to win like 9 out of 9 to
All of
time
their
me.
games, yeah.
Yeah, which isn't going to happen. And I thought 50%, like I really shouldn't be scoring this. I should be scoring a decent plus. Um, and yeah, after like the first 3 rounds, I think I won the first three. I was like, I really should be breaking this record. But then I started to play poorly, um, and unfortunately, I was lucky even to tie it because I like against Anish, it was just a miracle that I won, like absolute miracle. Even that I drew was a miracle, but
Yeah,
that I won was complete miracle.
you actually lost 2 games in a row immediately after you mathematically won the event. Like, is that
I could have
moment
lost
where
three.
you just, yeah, you could have easily lost 3, but is that moment where you just relaxation, I guess, sets in. Yeah. I don't know if to call
Maybe,
it
yeah. I
relaxation
wasn't sure.
or like a relief, because the tournament obviously is not over, but you've achieved the goal that you came and competed for.
I wasn't really thinking because I already felt like I won before that. I mean, I know, theoretically I hadn't won, but I already felt like I won before that. So I don't know if it was relaxation. I think it was actually that I just got like two of the toughest opponents in a row, and um, so Wesley and Alireza in a row, and I knew that like this stretch is the really tough stretch. It's like Wesley, Alireza, and uh, and Maxime.
Yeah.
They were all playing well in Blitz. They're all very very good Blitz players. Uh, and I also thought the first game of the day for me each time was going to be tough against Jan, but Jan was so tilted in the second game that we played, like so clearly tilted that was actually important for me.
Yeah. 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 Well,
And yeah,
he was
there's a
obviously
story
tilted.
behind that as well.
Yes, he was tilted because of the game before, the last game of the first day of Blitz against Wesley, which he lost from a completely winning position because he flagged, and then there were discussions whether Wesley arranged his pieces. From my understanding, it was Wesley who was dropping pieces and then arranging them on Jan's time, and obviously that's not fair play, I guess. But as long as you don't stop the clock and call the arbiter, it's very difficult to do anything and to get anything out on the appeal. And he
I mean, it's difficult. It's a difficult situation, I have to say, because on the one hand, of course, well, first of all, I didn't see if there were actually pieces dropped or not, but assuming that's the case, then yeah, that is sort of the responsibility of the player to
call the
make
arbiter.
moves properly. I mean, the responsibility of both players is to make moves properly without misplacing pieces, without moving them sloppily, without doing things which are distracting or
And if you don't, you have
or
to call the arbiter. That's the thing. I mean,
yeah. And then the question is, if someone is doing that, what do you do as a player? So the recommendation would be either you, well, if it's really like bad to the point that you can't play properly, that's costing you a lot of time on the clock, then you really have to call the arbiter. Or you can complain to your opponent first, and then, I mean, you're maybe not supposed to do that, but I guess you can also do that. That you like, say like place your pieces well. You're not really supposed to talk to your opponent, but I guess it's permissible. And
yeah.
then if that doesn't work, then you call the arbiter after that. Um, and then once you call the arbiter, the game will restart, and then I guess if it like continues, then the arbiter can decide what to do.
Yeah, I think the first time is
But
a
it's a
warning,
difficult
and then
situation. Like I don't call the arbiter because I don't want to interrupt the flow of the game as well, especially when you have a few seconds. And sometimes you deal with distracting behavior, so it's hard to know what to do. I kind of understand the struggle there.
yeah, this is something that
So
happens very often in shorter, let's say, time controls, days in which you have a lot of games. I guess it feels like emotions definitely flare up compared to classical. Um, many blitz events, even like friendly blitz games, they usually end up with some sort of an argument. I don't even know why that is. I guess it's just like the condensed emotions during a blitz games. Perhaps that is the case. What do you think it is?
I think it's also adrenaline. Like when you're down to seconds, there's a lot of adrenaline, and that's going to cause you to be a bit more shaky. So maybe your hands are shaking, you're a bit less steady with your moves. Depends on the player. Like I don't really
No,
have an
I'm
issue.
I'm talking about the conflicts. I'm talking about
Okay,
I'm
that
talking
yeah,
about
yeah,
general conflicts between players that usually flare up between during this type of like blitz tournaments and even again blitz friendly games.
yeah. So friendly games, I don't really understand why you would be like arguing unless there's money on the line or something. But that's not a friendly game anymore. If it's just purely a friendly game, it's you're not supposed to be fighting over a board game with nothing at stake. Although I have seen it happen. You're of course correct.
I mean, I know it happened very recently with some players that I know. Obviously, we're not going to give any names, but
From
there
your
were
team, yeah.
you don't you don't have to mention anything, but basically there were punches thrown. Which I don't know. I
Wasn't this a
haven't.
while ago?
Yeah, a while ago. I haven't seen it happen
Years
very
ago, no?
often. A couple of years ago, yes. I
Yeah,
haven't seen it happen very often, but I've seen people get into at least verbal arguments, and I've been very close to getting into verbal arguments. Generally, I try to pull back, but I can feel sometimes, my blood rushing through my head.
well, there are players, people generally, who like to taunt.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
For whatever reason. It might not be malicious. It might be for entertainment. It might be because they just think it's all in good fun, and they maybe don't know the limit of like what's good fun and what's not entirely acceptable, or what might anger people. Um, I'm not one of those people, as you know, right? I don't taunt my opponents. I will. I mean, sometimes, but usually
Not really.
very
No.
yeah, to a very minimized degree. But some people do it.
I
We
like to
both
do
know
it
people.
occasionally. Okay, it's not going to be like disrespectful taunt in general. I try to keep it fairly respectful, but I'm going to trash talk occasionally. It's not going to be the swearing type of trash talk anyway.
It depends a lot on your relationship with the person.
Yeah.
Like if you don't know the person too well, yeah, you probably should be careful with that. It can maybe lead to a fight.
Yeah.
If you know them well, you can maybe know like what the limit is, what they're okay with, what they're not. But yeah, okay, this is a different scenario. Like with Wesley and Jan, that was a competitive atmosphere. Then it's understandable.
Yeah.
I don't think that it was handled in the correct way. But at least I can understand why you would get angry if you feel your opponent is misbehaving. Uh, and if Wesley got angry as well, I don't know if he did. Then I mean, it was a bit tense at the end, but I don't think it was like so tense. I mean,
I don't
after
think Wesley got angry. I mean, he won his game, so I don't think he had anything to complain about.
Well, the second game was what I mean. That was like where there was the second conflict, right? Because Jan knocked over the pieces, clearly intentionally, um, and as a sort of retribution of sorts, or I don't know.
Did you see what happened?
It was
because we were already getting ready for the closing ceremony, more or less in the studio.
So. I mean, I saw the video. It was like, okay,
but you weren't in the playing hall.
I did. I mean, I was playing. These were the first few moves of the game. I'm talking about the second game.
Yeah.
So it's like first e4 e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop e5, knight f6, d3, bishop c5. Like in all these preceding moves, Jan was making the move extremely deliberately, like with a sort of flourish, and then with a sort of wry smile, like he's enjoying the moment, or he knows what's coming, and which clearly he did. And then once he takes on c6, he basically takes it, but sweeps his hand over all Black's pieces, and like 5 of them get knocked down. And then Wesley just sort of looks at him and smiles a bit. It was not entirely serious. It was kind of childish, of course, but they got that out of their system,
mm-hmm.
and that was that.
Yeah,
that was it.
Yeah,
it really wasn't a big controversy, but okay,
And that's the thing. I feel like, obviously people on the internet will speculate and will try to make it bigger than it was. But at the same time, it does happen. Like this type of conflicts generally between the players, they do happen, especially when you play Blitz. At least that's my perception. That's the way I see it. But they generally get resolved. They generally get resolved. Like the next day, nobody really cares about it anymore, more or less.
Yeah, it's not something that you really hold a huge grudge over.
It's competition, yeah, after all.
Well, yeah, it's a bit outside the realm of competition, because clearly they were not. I mean, assuming that Wesley was like not placing his pieces properly, and then that Jan deliberately knocked over pieces, they were obviously not adhering to, let's say, the way you should approach these things, which is, if you think there's a problem, you call the arbiter and you get it sorted out, right?
Yeah.
But but whatever. It wasn't really a big deal or much of a story.
Yeah, cool. So very successful trip to Europe for the GCT. Obviously, 2 out of 2. That gives you already a pretty good standing within the GCT standings.
Well, the first one, even though I won, I get shared points, which I think is a bit strange, but okay,
Right.
that's how they do it. Somehow the four of us, even though I won the tiebreak, we get the same amount of points, and the tiebreak win was still significant in Bucharest because of FIDE circuit points, because of money, but not for Grand Chess Tour points. But still, yeah, this win was clear. I got 13 points for it. It was important from the Grand Chess Tour point of view.
Cool. Yeah. And that concluded the European trip.